that? How about Brad and the band? Wow. Where else on a weekend are you going to get Lenny Kravitz? That's what I'm talking. You're not. That's a rhetorical question because you ain't. That was awesome. And it's music in my genre, right? Sometimes they play pop. I have no idea what the song is. My kids usually got to tell me, but that one,
You knew that one, huh?
I knew that one. That one was perfect. So, hey, welcome to Crosspoint. We are so excited that you're here this weekend. Hey, we're excited around here. We're kicking off a brand new series. We're getting ready to get into the journey, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, and really what that means here at Crosspoint. So we're super excited that you're here. And I can tell you what, from personal experience, right, it's been a lot going on in our world, a lot going on just even this week. And I can tell you, if you're new to faith, or maybe you're just new to church, or you're trying to check things out, or maybe you've been doing it for a long time, or maybe some of us have kind of maybe started and stopped a little bit. I just want to assure you that you are in the right place. And so we're super excited that you're here. Hey, if we have not had a chance to meet, my name is Vince Constantine, your host tonight. Now, I'm like the fifth string host, which...
You're not the fifth string host.
I haven't been up here in a while. I didn't know what to do with the mic.
Last time I saw you was in like Lowe's.
That's true. I was in Lowe's. Yeah, trying not to break something in my house. It's pretty. Yeah, let's not even go down that road. I was like Ricky Bobby up here earlier. I didn't know what to do with my hands when we were doing the whole.
Are you gonna be like Ron Burgundy too? Whatever they put on the screens.
I might. That might be another time. So you never know. Whatever's up on that screen, I certainly might read it. So hey, it's really glad. I'm glad once again that you're here. I'm excited to be part of this service. And hey, you know what? I'm also excited what God's doing in our community through your generous donations to the things that you're doing, both online and as also too in the Joy Box. Woo! There we go. We got that in. It's amazing what God can do with our time, talent, and treasure. So thank you so much for that. So hey, we'd love to hear from you. So if you get a second to take out your phone, connect through us on the digital connection card on the Crosspoint app. If you don't have the app, you can take a picture of the little QR code on your in the seat in front of you. Or if you're on the online version, certainly fill that out. If you are a regular tender partner around here, just put your name and any information that's changed. And if you're a guest, we're super excited that you decided to join us here for our service. So please fill out as much information as you are comfortable sharing. Hey, you know what else is exciting around here is that the kids and students are back in this environment, which is really cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Tonight as well. Tonight as well.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, there's kids out there. I saw a few of them. None of them which are mine. Mine are all teenagers. They don't want to be around me anyway. But anyway, kids are back, and it's an exciting time to be part of that. So we're excited to have them both in our early weekend service as well as Sunday mornings at 9. So if you do have children and do want them as part of our children's services, the registration opens up Monday at 2 o'clock. So you just need to register those online. For those of you that are online and do want to follow us in the kids' environments part of this, the Crosspoint YouTube channel is a great way to keep connected with what the kids are going on through. All the same teachings that happen in the venue in the back happen in the online version, so just make sure to subscribe to the Crosspoint YouTube channel. Hey, you know, around here it takes, I got to get to my notes here. Around here it takes a lot of people to make this place, to give it the lift that it gets, the energy that it gets, and it's all done through volunteers. And there's no place that we need volunteers more than is in our kids' environment. So if you're interested in any way, shape, or form of helping out in a kids' environment, some of the basic requirements are that you can sit down, stand, you don't have to be really good at either one of those, and that you can read. You can be helpful in a kids' environment. There's tech roles, there's leadership roles, there's small group roles. I know you're going to be shocked by this, but I even help out in the kids' environment. Yeah, I'm a small group leader.
Look at you.
In the K through 4. Well, once again, I have teenage kids all the way up to a 20-year-old. They don't listen to me anymore.
See, I'm not that sure. Age, they think you're awesome at that age.
They think you're totally awesome. There's nothing you can say that will totally not make them think that you're awesome. When they get older, I'm out. So it's a lot of fun back there. So I encourage you. Once again, we need more volunteers. We want to open up more of the kids' environments for other services. So please, if you can, please volunteer on that. Hey, you know what? Once again, when you came in, you saw Tailgate Town. You saw a lot of excitement in the building. We are hyped as we ramp up, as we get into really probably the most instrumental thing that we do here at Crosspoint. And that's the kickoff of the journey. And this year it's called the 49-Day Challenge. So over these next 7 weeks, I'm telling you, you're going to be transformed. You're going to be invigorated. You're going to learn. You're going to grow. This is a growth opportunity for all of us in so many different ways and so many different elements. And so you're going to hear a lot more about that today as we kick this off. And the tailgate is certainly a piece of that. There are 3 parts, right? Any program's got steps, right? Any program has steps to it. And so for all of us, this is pretty simple, right? We can manage 3 steps. So the first step, you're actually doing it, and it's to be here in the venue, right, or in online. So that's the first thing, is attend a weekend service. The second piece of it is these challenge books are actually the Daily 49 book, Better, Stronger, Together, and then these challenge cards. And there's going to be weekly challenges, and you're going to hear a little bit more about that as we go through. And so that's the second piece of the journey. Now, the third piece of it, well, you know what? I'll let you kind of decide, because I think this commercial probably sells a little bit better than I could.
We do it every week.
Every week.
I do it by myself.
And we do it together.
Right after dinner.
We actually do it in our own backyard.
We can't wait to do it again.
They do it, and you can join a group too. The 49-day challenge begins soon. Looking for connection, a place to belong, a place to grow together? Then join a group today.
So that could have gone one of two ways, right? I mean, let's just be honest with one another.
Good old
I think
seventh
there's a
grade
few of you
humor.
that were kind of like, hey, if you're new to CrossPoint, this might be the place, man. Check out these videos.
What kind
they
of
show
church
up.
is this?
What kind? Yeah, once again, not with a question mark, but an exclamation point, man. That's. But thankfully, right, we brought it around. That's the third thing, is joining a small group, right? These are called the home team. So when you leave here today, you're going to pick up your materials, and on your way out, we ask you to stop by Tailgate Town. There'll be games, prizes. There's food out there. You can kick a field goal, try not to pull a hamstring. Give Chris some garbage, too, when you see him, because they're the Canadian field goals. You'll notice they're a little tighter and a little shorter. Chris is Canadian, for those who don't know that. So certainly give him a little bit of nonsense about that. But in all honesty, if you're looking for a small group opportunity, there are hosts out there. They're wearing the blue shirts that say, join my team, and they can certainly sign you up. And I do want to make a plug about small group. I've been going here for about 9 years, and about 5 years ago, I decided, hey, you know what? The next part of this is I need to join a small group. And I'll tell you what, I'm not a small group guy for a variety of different reasons. And I made every excuse in the book. But I can tell you this, when I joined a small group, it made such an impact on my faith, my life. I was better at life, better at faith, better in my community. And I just tell you, I'm so excited to get back into my small group. I haven't seen them since the last journey, so it'll be great to get caught up. And they're great friendships and wonderful connects. So I ask you to make sure that you do that. And for those of you that are online, on the online app, you can go to crosspointweb.org and sign up for one of the groups on there as well. Hey, next weekend is a really exciting weekend as we really get into the meat of this. And next weekend is Get Back in the Game weekend. And so what that means is this is your opportunity to get back. This is your opportunity to get back into the venue and join us back here in person at CrossPoint. And so many of you maybe haven't joined for a variety of different reasons or haven't been back for a variety of different reasons. Maybe you've gotten comfortable in your sweatpants and your shorts sitting at home, which you can still do in this environment. Maybe you've just gotten off the routine and just made every excuse in the book. Next weekend starts an opportunity to get back in the venue, to get back in these seats and get back in the community with one another. So, and guess what? We don't just do anything for free around here, right? It's not all about us, right? We're a very giving community. So next week, believe it or not, it's October. So out in the parking lot, instead of Tailgate Town, we're going to have a pumpkin patch. The Great Pumpkin, I guess, is coming.
Yeah.
Allegedly, that's what I heard. So there'll be a pumpkin patch for your kids, because if you're anything like me, you have a tendency to wait, and then you're at Kroger, and that's what we call the pumpkin patch.
It's like
in
the
the
leftover
Constantine
pumpkins.
household, but you can get a pumpkin here. And also, I did check the weather. It's going to be nice enough, and there's going to be free ice cream. So come next week, get back in the seats, get back in the community. It's going to be a great time. And hey, listen, we're super excited around here for the kickoff of this. So it's time to get ready. You guys ready? You guys ready to get started? Awesome. So hey, listen, we've got a great service for you here this weekend as we kick off this new series. So let's stand, put our hands together, and sing a few more songs as we continue on with our service.
There were walls between us. By the cross you came and broke them down. You broke them down. There were chains around us. By your grace we are no longer bound. No longer bound. You call me out of the grave. You call me into the light. You call my name and then my heart came shaking. All the dead are coming back to life, back to life. Hear the strong awaken, all creation singing, we're alive, 'cause you're alive. You call me out of the grave, you call me into the light, you call my name and then my heart came alive. Your love is greater, your love is stronger, your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater, your love is stronger, your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Oh, and what a love we found, death can't hold us down. Shout it out, we're alive, 'cause you're alive. And what a love we found, death can't hold us down. Shout it out, we're alive, 'cause you're alive. And what a love we found, death can't hold us down. Shout it out, we're alive, 'cause you're alive. Your love is greater, your love is stronger, your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater, your love is stronger, your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater, your love is stronger, your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater, your love is stronger, your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Oh, 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 We're going to keep singing today, and I'm not sure what kind of day you've had or where you are today, but there's nothing our God can't do. Sing this with us. Just one word, you calm the storm that surrounds me. Just one word, the darkness has to retreat. Just one touch, I feel the presence of heaven. Just one touch, my eyes are open to see. My heart can't help but believe. There's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a mountain that He can't move. Oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can do. Oh, just one word, you heal what's broken inside me. Just one word, and you revive every dream. Just one touch, I feel the power of heaven. Just one touch, my eyes are open to see. My heart can't help but believe. There's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a mountain that He can't move. Oh, praise Her name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can do. Oh, there's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a prison wall He can't break through. There are greater things ahead of us. Sing this with us. I will believe for greater things. There's no power like the power of Jesus. Let faith arise. Let all agree. There's no power like the power of Jesus. I will believe for greater things. There's no power like the power of Jesus. Let faith arise. Let all agree. There's no power like the power of Jesus. I will believe for greater things. There's no power like the power of Jesus. Let faith arise. Let all agree. There's no power like His power. There's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a mountain that He can't move. Oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can't do. Oh, there's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a prince who only can't break through. Oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can't do. Oh, oh, oh,
Oh my gosh, every year we kind of decide, hey, what's the one thing we can do to improve ourselves? And we try to pull out all the stops, try to get all of our kids, our students, adults heading in the same direction. You're going to experience some of the most creative weekends we do all year around here. And we also try to get everybody in a small group, everybody into a group context with some great group material, and at the same time, some personal daily challenges that we experience that grow us and help us get to new places. And through all of this, as we do these things, we get built up, we get stronger, and as a result, we kind of corporately, as a community and collectively, become a force for good and a force for God in the world around us. And so, man, really, really excited about what's happening this year with the journey that we're just beginning to kick off in 1 week from right now. Today is what we kind of call 0 week. We're calling this week 0. It's kind of the ramp-up week to the journey because every great thing usually has some ramp-up. And so as we get ready for the 49-day challenge, I just want to talk a bit about what it is that you and I are going to be doing and how we can actually experience all that God has for us. So my name's Kurt, by the way. If we haven't had a chance to meet, it's great to meet you. Great to have you here with us. If you're tuning in online, so good to have you with us this weekend. And if it's your first time, we hope it's not your last time, and you are joining us at an amazing time where we believe you're going to experience some things and experience God in ways that's just going to take you to new places. And so today we're going to look at the various outputs, if you will, or the gears, kind of the mechanisms in our lives and that we have the ability to tap into that produce results, that help us live stronger, that help us live better, and that allow us to kind of track and become more Christ-like. And so over these next 7 weeks, it's just going to be an amazing journey. And for those of you tuning in online, again, we love seeing you through the lens. If you've been looking for that opportunity to kind of join us back in this space, and you're like, my life got busy, man, next week is your time. Next week is your time as we have Get in the Game weekend for you to kind of launch this journey and collectively begin to go somewhere with all of us. And if you're out of this community, you're tuning in from other places, man, we will continue to see you through the lens right here. Well, hey, let me pray for us before we go any further. Let's do that. God, thank you for this time. Thank you for meeting us in this space. You are good to grow us. You are a good, good God who wants to grow us, wants to take us to new places. And I just pray that you do that today. There's so many places we could be right now, and yet we're here. We're in this space. And so we just know that our hearts want to know more about you. We want to know more of you. We want to experience more of you. And so I just pray that you'd inform our hearts and that I would just be able to articulate the things that allow us to see your character and the things that you want to do in our hearts and in our lives today. And so I just pray that you'd be pleased with everything that happens in this space. And we pray these things according to your character, Jesus. Amen. Well, today we're going to talk, and to a large degree over the next 7 weeks, about the topic of what it means to have a strong life, what it means to have strong relationships, what it means to have a strong character, how do we build in and be strong in our families and our faith. And as a result of that, who wants to be stronger? You guys want to be stronger? Anybody want to be stronger? Like, you want to have more? Yeah, man, yes, I love the energy. I tell you what, we all want to have that veracity in our life, right? And so we want to be more prepared for the hard times. We want to experience more of the joys that God dreams and designed for us. And so this kind of spiritual strength, it doesn't come through just religious efforts toward God. It actually comes as we spend more and more time in relationship with God. And thankfully, Jesus came along and he set a great model for us of what it means to incorporate rhythms and patterns and practices and things that we can do to encounter and experience the strength that God wants to bring to our lives. Now, I've said this many, many times before, but when you think of the person of Jesus, think about a guy. I don't know if there's anybody that has had more impact in the world than his life. Bar none. I don't think anybody. If you take like number 2 through 10 on the impact scale and add them all up, I still don't know that they would have the impact that Jesus had as a single individual. I don't even know they come close. We date time by his life, right? BC and CE. He was born over 2,000 years ago on the other side of the world, and yet we still talk about him here today. In fact, in 2 months, we're going to be celebrating him all around the world. And not only was he a baby as we celebrate at that moment, but he grew up to be a man, and he started a movement that is still impacting the world today. And there are things that he did on a regular basis. There are things he built into his life that he models for you and I that kind of equip us to have this kind of strength and that kind of veracity in our lives. So he kind of gives us this map on how to live out of this strength and how to have this kind of relationship with our Heavenly Father. And I'm going to warn you, sometimes it's a bit unconventional. He's going to say things, you're like, oh man, I didn't expect that. And so we're going to look at a passage here, and we're going to kind of do a quick read, then we're going to come back to it later. So here's what Luke, the Gospel writer Luke, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, says about Jesus. Here's what he says in Luke chapter 9. It says, as they were going along the road, someone said to him, I will follow you wherever you go. And Jesus said to him, foxes have holes and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. To another he said, follow me, but he said, Lord, let me first go and bury my father. And Jesus said to him, leave the dead to bury their own dead, but as for you, go and proclaim the kingdom of God. And yet another said, I will follow you, Lord, but let me first say farewell to those at my home. Jesus said to him, no one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom of God. My word, you read this and just kind of with a clear mind, you might go, my word, Jesus is a jerk face, right? Seriously, you look at that and you're like, those were all reasonable requests, right? Man, he must just be a jerk. Well, here's what Jesus was doing. Here's what Jesus was saying. There are certain counterintuitive things that the more we learn about what it means to know God, these things produce results in our lives. And so this weekend, I want us to look at 4 gears, if you will, 4 mechanisms that kind of create outputs in our lives. And each of these gears have, various outputs and various horsepower, but they lead to us having a strong life. They lead to, an efficacy in our life. And we've heard of the efficacy a lot, right? Over the last year and a half, we've heard the word efficacy. What's efficacy? Well, it's this idea of having a productiveness. It's the idea of having a fruitfulness, a potency or a strength. And so each of these 4 gears that we're going to look at, you may have strategically put certain things into each of these realms of your life. You may have just like by default allowed things to slide into these realms. And so we're going to look at these 4 gears. The first gear here is this. There are things that we do that are optional, right? We all have things in our life that are optional. And so, we do things financially that are optional. We do things with our time. We have a discretionary time. We say things like, I'm going to leave my options open. You know what it means when we say we're going to leave our options open? It means I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't want to commit to anything. I'm going to leave my options open. And so the optional gear, as you can see here, it doesn't really turn or produce a lot of results. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of efficacy. It doesn't have a lot of horsepower. It's a very small gear. And it really has a very small area of impact. And there's probably certain things in your life that fall into the optional category or just that passively happen. In fact, a few years ago, nearly every year for a number of years, I'd have a knock on my door. A little guy'd show up wearing a yellow tie and a blue shirt, and he was selling what? Boy Scouts popcorn, right? Good old Boy Scout. And man, I tell you what, his dad trained him well. His dad, he was a sales guy, and he had his spiel dialed in, and he'd say, Mr. Walters, would you like to buy some popcorn? Because I'm going after my goal of becoming an Eagle Scout and developing an incredible character. Would you help me get there? How do you say no to that, right? So I'm in. Count me in. I'd give him a good sale. And it's interesting because, that's different than when I see like the popcorn forum come over Facebook, and some parent goes, hey, my kid's selling popcorn. I'm like, yep, I'm out. I don't need popcorn. I mean, if I wanted popcorn, I'd go to Costco and get all the popcorn I need, right? I don't need to buy expensive popcorn, but when he gives me this spiel, I'm like, where do I sign up? Now, Boy Scout popcorn is optional for me, all right? I mean, it's not something that I'm going to go and put on my calendar or wait around for. In fact, he hasn't been around for the last few years. This year, I got a little QR code left on my door. He must not have been home. But, Boy Scout popcorn, that's something that's optional for me. But I tell you what, the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, this is interesting. They're entrepreneurs, right? I mean, they are very entrepreneurial. I don't know if you saw this. Girl Scouts recently in Detroit, they were outside a marijuana dispensary selling cookies. That is smart on a lot of levels right there. I'm just saying, and then they got in trouble. Here's the thing. We have to ask ourselves, when we have optional things in our life, why is it in my life? All right, and here's something interesting. I mean, the pandemic's done really something fascinating with us. I mean, it kind of took everything away, right? It restricted everything where we felt like we had no options. And then as things began to lift, we're like, oh my gosh, I got to fill my life with everything that I've missed. And we just blew out the options, right? And so all of a sudden, we have to look at the optional things in our lives and go, okay, did I intentionally choose that? Or did it just kind of take over? Is it making my life better? All right, or is it just, is it just optional? Because see, here's the thing. The more optional things we have in our lives, the less impact, the less of a strong life we're actually going to have. The second category, the second gear for us to live in is the routine. It's the routine, the ordered, the structured, the systematic. And, if I were routine, I'd say, man, I'm going to put that Boy Scouts popcorn sale on my calendar every single year and make sure September rolls around. I'm ready. I'm going to put it in my budget. I'm going to make it routine, right? When that kid hits my door, man, I'm going to be ready because I want to make sure I get this every single year. Routine, being systematic, is, where I say, okay, working out is not optional for me. It's important to me, so I build my day around it. The days I work out, I put it on my calendar. I mean, 4 days a week I run. I have a day off in the middle of the week, the weekend off, but I structure around it. If it's optional, I just do it when it's convenient, right? I mean, it's one of those things that when working out is optional for you, you really don't do it. I mean, you only do it when it's convenient or when it's a nice thing to do. But, to have any regularity to something, that I have to put it on my calendar, I have to plan around it. If you want to be really well-read this year, you say, I want to be well-read. I want to read a book a week. That doesn't just happen if it's optional. You have to plan around that. You may have to say, okay, I'm gonna cancel Netflix so I don't have the temptation of like sitting down and watching, Bridgerton, or I'm gonna cancel Apple TV so I'm not watching Ted Lasso, which my friends would kill me, by the way, if I did that. But, I have to remove certain things because I'm trying to create a routine. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. In the book of Proverbs, we see this classic example, this great entity that shows us what routine looks like. And it's the great entity of the ant. The ant. The writer of Wisdom, he actually says this. He says, you lazy fool, look at the ant. He says, watch it closely. let it teach you a thing or two. Nobody has to tell it what to do. All summer, it stores up food, and at harvest, it stockpiles provisions. See, the ant is a great picture of routine. It's a great picture of somebody who's systematic, something that's systematic. All right, I've got to have a structure to my day. Every day I'm going to go out, I'm going to have a certain percentage of crumbs because, they may not be here every day, so I'm going to get a certain percentage today, another percentage tomorrow, another percentage the next day. I'm going to store them up because eventually they're going to go dry, and that way I have what I need. And so when I start putting things on my systematic list, when I start putting things in my routine, look at the gears. The gears begin to move at a little different level, all right? There's a little more horsepower behind them right here. Right? There's a little greater rate of movement than things that are at the optional level. And yet sometimes, if we're honest, things that are systematic can also not be healthy because they become too systematic or too much of a good thing. For instance, over the past year, as I said, I have a very, a running routine that I've been pretty dedicated to, and it's 2 days on, 1 day off, Wednesday off, run Thursday, Friday, take the weekend off, and that's just my routine. That's what I have done. And running is important to me, not for my physical health as much as for my mental health. I'm a better person. I'm a much more likable person on the days that I run. I'm just a better person. And so that's important to me. And so this past January, when my daughter was beginning to get back in her rhythm of running and preparing for track season, she said, "Hey, Dad, will you start running with me?" I said, "Sure." And so, I run in the morning. She'd get done with school, and then she'd say, "Hey, let's go for a run." I'm like, "Well, I already ran today, but sure, count me in." So I was doing 3-4 miles in the morning. I'd start, do another 3 or 4 in the afternoon. I was doing double days. And I'm thinking, man, there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to be in the routine on. Wrong. Wrong. 2 months later, I had stress fractures, and I was in an air cast for 6 weeks because I'm not 28 anymore. I can't do that, right? And it just reminded me that there are certain things that just because it's routine and it's healthy, when I do more and more of that, doesn't necessarily mean that I end up stronger or I end up healthier. In fact, we all know workaholics, right? We have some workaholic in our life, somebody who work, that's all they do. They work. And we know that they're not having massive impact. They work all the time, the results aren't there. And when I say results, I'm talking about people results. Here's a little secret. Most impactful people in the world understand that the greatest tool for impact, the greatest realm of impact, the greatest field of impact, the greatest thing you can commit your life to is building people. In fact, we looked at this last weekend. If you're here last weekend, as we wrapped up the At the Movie series, we looked at purpose and just dove into a question I think many of us have been asking over the last 12 months, maybe even 18 months. Why am I here? What's the purpose of my life? The whole last season's really caused a lot of us to ask that question. Is my life making a difference? In fact, we even asked a better question. Who am I here for? Who am I here for? Better way to say it would be, who at the end of your life, what at the end of your life do you want people to come up to you and say, "Hey man, this is what I'm thankful for from your life"? Like, what would they say to that? Listen, I don't think any of us on our deathbed, when anybody coming up to us going, "Oh man, I was so impressed that you did a 5K under 20 minutes. Man, that was so amazing," back when you were like 36 years old. Or, it's amazing. You worked those holidays. Everybody else taking the day off. You worked those Monday holidays, and man, that made an enormous difference. We probably don't want to hear those things, right? No, it's people. People will remember us. People will be thankful for us. People are the only thing that outlive us, right? People are a purpose. People are a meaning, a transcendent meaning that no checklist will ever be able to come close to. And that's why when we become systematic, one of the first things that fall away is people. It's people. We get so rigid and systematic that it begins to interfere with our sphere of relationships. All right, the next gear, the next one's kind of like routine on steroids, all right? And this is an interesting one. This is, I like this one. It's maximizing. The maximizing gear. See, being systematic is like, okay, I'm going to do this here, I'm going to do that here, I'm going to do this next, and I'm going to do this. Maximizing is, I'm going to pack it all in. I'm going to do all of it. I'm going to fill my life with more and more stuff. And I'm going to take the big rocks, and I'm going to put them in first, right? And some of you know where this goes. You love this illustration. And then I'm going to take the smaller rocks. I'm going to fit them into my life because I'm going to make sure they're in there because those are important too. And I'm guilty of this. In fact, I've taught this before. And then I'm going to pour sand over the whole thing, right? And I'm going to fill in all the crevices, every little moment and second of my life. And then I'm going to pour water over the top just in case I didn't get all the space so I can fill it all up, right? And why do I do this? I want to maximize my life. Why? Because I want to do it all, right? I want it all. Whoa, we like short on the music budget or something? Oh, trying to not get flagged on YouTube. Just less than 3 seconds, we won't get flagged on YouTube. There you go, all right? There you go. Online, you get the rest of the service that way. So maximizing is all about, let me grab everything I can and throw it in. I'm going to be the captain of my ship. I'm going to be the captain of everything. I want everything that I can get my hands on to the nth degree. And you might get a lot of rush out of that. And you might actually experience quite a bit of results. And you can see the gears, they do actually have some success and begin to, get a bit of a rhythm to them. But, there's also a lot of burnout right here. And there's a lot of hurt people right here. And there's a lot of frustration right here. In fact, take a look at what Paul says in Romans. He says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that by testing you may discern what the will of God is, what is good and acceptable and perfect. So there's a spiritual force that's trying to conform us. It wants to put us in a mold. That wants us to look like everyone else. It wants us to think like everyone else, whether everybody else thinks of God or wants God or doesn't want God. And one of the patterns of this kind of living is, and you're going to love this phrase, you're going to love this, some of you are going to love this, we love to have balance. I'm going to have a balanced life, right? We long for a balanced life. And so we're maximizing, right? Because I want to maximize and have everything I can have with my family, everything I can have with my friends, everything I can have with my recreation, all my hobbies and my work life and my social life and, my vacation. I want it all. I want to just fill it all in. And we try to have the right effort and the right resources and put the right time. And all of a sudden we walk away feeling frustrated and we feel like our lives aren't going anywhere. I'm like, man, I'm missing something. And so what do we say? We say, well, I just need to get balanced, right? I just need to, if I get balance and just, balance, if I get a balanced life, everything would be, you know what? You don't get results with a balanced life. In fact, there's never been a balanced person that's altered the trajectory of anything. All right, you just don't do it. All right, strong living happens when you're imbalanced. That's when strong living happens. I mean, every single person that wants to move something, have a potent life, have the kind of life that has a veracity and that's strong, that weathers storms, you have to choose certain things. You're like, there's certain things I'm just going to suck at. I'm not going to be good at them, all right? There's certain things I'm just not going to pay attention to, or I'm not going to let them be important to me because I want to focus. I want to have a life that's potent, so I'm going to have to focus. And think about hitting a golf ball. When you hit a golf ball, you don't just stand there all balanced and in the right place. Right? No, you throw your weight forward. I mean, you shift the entirety of your weight forward, and that's how you hit long, and that's how you hit far. I mean, if you're building a business, if you're starting something, I'm sorry, you're going to have to give up the goal of being well-read. because you can be well-read, or, your business will probably fail if you decide to do that. There's not balance. Even here at Crosspoint, we're unbalanced right now. I'm going to be honest. Our team is in rebuild mode. We are in full rebuild out of the pandemic mode, try to regain traction, re-engage people, get people tied back into the mission. My staff right now, they are very imbalanced. They are throwing the full weight of their lives in to get things back into motion. See, maximizing tells you, man, you can do all that and you can have everything else too. Let me be very, very clear. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. We cannot have it all. And we see this time and time again throughout history. You can't be well-read and read a new book every single week and, at the same time work out 4 days a week and at the same time have a career that's in the right place all the time and have a marriage that's thriving and kids that, are headed in the right direction and, a hobby that's fulfilling and taking you to faraway places and having things you can post on Facebook and, the ability to be on top of your lawn and put mulch out at the right time and be at the top of your fantasy football league because you got all the data in front of you, time to sift and sort. You just can't do all that. I mean, the lure of maximization, it tries to convince us that, man, if I fill my life, I'm going to get more done. I'm going to have more results. And you may get more done than the ordered life, but I'm going to tell you from experience, oftentimes, you're going to lead a very, very dry life. And maximizing people don't tend to have fun. And they may not have any debt and have a lot of savings because they're primarily like, oh, I'm putting it all away for me. And often the type A personality of a maximizing life feels good, right? Look what I accomplished. Look at how I checked everything off my list today. But I'm telling you, you're not leaving a legacy, all right? You're not living a potent life that's having an impact, strong living impact on people. Because how do you maximize people? You can't maximize people, right? People can't be maximized. Dwight Eisenhower, one of our presidents, he said, we succeed only as we identify in life or war or anything else a single overriding objective and make all other considerations bend to that one objective. What happens when you have a single overriding objective? I mean, what he's saying is we succeed when we're unbalanced. We succeed when we focus and we don't dabble in everything that comes our way. We succeed when we don't get distracted by all the optional things that we could do and we could have in our lives in trying to get the most out of life. And so he would say, and I think Jesus would say as well, we need to be dialed in. We need to be dialed in. This is the fourth gear right here, dialed in. See, when you're dialed in, I'm telling you what, when you're dialed in, you are so focused. When you're dialed in, there begins to become a momentum in your life. The dialed in gear begins to move, and look how this thing moves, man. There's a momentum that begins to happen. I mean, it's like a flywheel's getting going, and all of a sudden your intentionality and your focus and your energy and your you're doing all the right things, not all the things, but the right things. And this is the role, this is the plan that God has for our lives, that we would operate in this way. And I'm telling you, this is what the next 7 weeks is going to be about. The 49-day challenge is designed to do this for us. And I'm telling you, when you're dialed in with the right things, man, it leads to amazing things. Now, speaking of being dialed in, anybody excited about football being back? Like NFL? I get excited. Every time I leave this place, Thursdays, Sundays, football's on. It's amazing. I love it. And you know who's not dialed in yet? Yeah, the Colts. Colts are not dialed in. They are not. I'm hoping they dial it in this weekend, playing the Titans, but I don't know. We'll see. They're not dialed in. You know who I'm missing this year on the field? I mean, we're seeing him in the commentary booth. Is Drew Brees. Anybody like Drew Brees? Yeah. I tell you what, that dude was dialed in all the time. I mean, I don't know. There's a moment that you ever see him when he's not dialed in. If you're familiar with Drew Brees or football or anything like that, just take a look at how he dials his team in right here.
You! They're here to see you! They're here to see us! They're here to see us! Let's be special! Let's be strong! Let's smell greatness from the top! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Dude was dialed in all the time. I mean, all the time. I mean, in fact, all those guys. You don't make it in the NFL if you're not dialed in. I mean, if you're in the NFL, you're dialed in on your supplements, you're dialed in on your biometrics, you're dialed in on your workout routine, your eating routine. Listen, nobody who plays in the NFL is balanced. No one is living a balanced life. All right? I mean, they're dialed in on the right things to operate at that level. Yeah, I've had the privilege of talking with one of my friends who attends here who knows Drew Brees. He's actually was one of his best friends, is a good friend of his. They played together at Purdue, and his name's Ben Smith. He's shared some from the stage before. And by the way, Ben is going to be throwing dimes out in the parking lot tonight for you guys. That's a Thursday special, by the way. You guys are the only ones that get this. So after service, go out to Tailgate Town. He's going to be hitting you. You can catch a pass from a Big Ten quarterback, and enjoy some time out there with the crowd and at Tailgate Town. And Ben, you know what he told me one time? He said, when you're around Drew, you know what happens? He makes you better. Because see, dialed in people make everyone around them better. Everyone around them. That's what dialed in people do. That's what Jesus did. Jesus was dialed in. So let's take a look for a moment at Jesus' words, try to figure out a few of these things he said that we looked at a few minutes ago in Luke 9. Someone says, Jesus, I'll follow you wherever you go. Jesus says, okay, first, you got to understand that if you're following me, you're not going to have a pillow to lay your head on. All right? I mean, you got to be dialed in. I mean, I don't want to hear you going, okay, where's my pillow? Why are we not sleeping in the hotel tonight? Where's the hotel? You got to get above those things. When you're dialed in, you don't let those things affect you. Another guy comes and says, okay, well, let me go and let me bury first my father. Now, Jesus knows he's lying right here. All right, and the reason he knows this is because in Jewish culture, funerals, when somebody died, they buried them very, very fast. If his dad's still laying around decomposing, listen, that's not the way the Jewish culture works. He knows that he's making an excuse right here. And so Jesus says to him, he says, hey, let them go bury the dead. Now, what he's saying right here is if you want to continue to be spiritually dead, then just keep hanging around dead people. But if you want some veracity in your life, you want to be spiritually alive, you got to be dialed in. You got to be doing different things that are heading toward life. You got to do something different right now. And then the next guy comes. This is kind of humorous to me. He says, I want to go back home, and I want to just check in on somebody first. Notice he didn't do the dead guy thing because that didn't work with the previous guy, right? So I just got to check in on somebody. And look at what Jesus, he's like, hey, you're not dialed in. You're not dialed in. You want to go back to your old life. You go back to your old way of living. You want to go back to the old ways of how you understand life is supposed to go. You can sprinkle a little Jesus in there to feel good about it. But look what Jesus says. He says, no one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom of God. Now, this was before John Deere tractors, all right? So they had a plow, have a hand on each side of the plow, and there's an animal in front of them, and that animal would begin to pull that plow through this long field, and if you're plowing, you're picking a focal point way out down on the horizon, and you are focusing on that point, and that's how you cut a straight plow line. What Jesus was saying here is some people start off really good. I mean, they're focused, they're heading, they're cutting a line, and then before long, some of the optional things in our life, we get distracted. I'm like, oh, maybe I want to go over here, new car, ooh, new boat, snowmobile. Ooh, I like snowmobiles. Colts tickets, those are some of my optional things that take me away from things. Ooh, lake house. Ooh, you invited me to go to the beach this weekend. And before long, I mean, that straight chiseled line, I mean, all these optional things that are all good, by the way, nothing wrong with these. But we have to ask ourselves, okay, why am I not cutting a straight line? Why do I not feel any traction? Why do I not feel like I'm heading somewhere? It's because I'm all over the place. All these things are dictating where my life goes. See, Jesus says, if you want me in your life, if you want to be strong and experience the things I can bring, you're going to have to be about me. You're going to have to be about people, and you're going to have to be about helping people find me, experience me. Do you want to have a life about people? Do you want a life that really works? And if the answer is yes, I'm going to tell you something. You're in the right place. For the next 7 weeks, this is what we're going to be going after. And Jesus, he says this. Matthew records, Jesus says, seek first. When you seek first his kingdom, my Father's kingdom, and his righteousness, I'm telling you, all the other things, all the benefits, all the things, the veracity, the strength, the confidence in the midst of difficult times, those are all going to come your way. This is what the 49-day challenge is about. 49 days, 7 weeks, following Jesus' example, developing rhythms that Jesus had that create strength, that create this efficacy in our lives. And it makes us stronger, it makes us better in our relationships, in our character, in our faith, in our families, in our life, in all of our life. And the question you and I have to answer this week, am I gonna accept the challenge? You have to ask the question, am I gonna accept the challenge? And I'm gonna tell you, as we begin the journey this week, this next weekend, and I know you might be saying, oh, Kurt, it's not that big a deal. No, listen, if you say, yeah, I'm in, I'm going to accept the challenge, I'm going to tell you all hell is going to come against you. All hell is going to come against you this week to keep you from getting engaged. There's going to be things pop up, optional things. You're like, oh, yeah, I can go over here. There's going to be things. See, the world, there's an intelligent darkness in our world that does not want you to step up and be challenged. It doesn't. The world's completely content with you living an optional life. All right, it's completely content with you having routines and kind of ordering things, even trying to maximize, experience all the things. And it's even going to show you, man, look what you're going to miss out if you don't have all the things in all your life being about all the things you can experience. It's going to remind us of all the optional things we can enjoy. See, this is a spiritual issue right here. Well, I follow the Spirit of God who's about people. And it's about when I come to the end of my life, which we're all going to come to, whenever that comes for me, I mean, am I going to go, oh my gosh, I'm thankful for my life. And man, the people around me are thankful for my life because my life worked and because it was joy-filled. And see, for us to get to that place, we're going to have to unleash some unconventional weapons of warfare. And one of the most unconventional weapons of warfare is something called prayer. Because see, prayer takes us to a spiritual place. And prayer starts asking God for spiritual strength. And prayer gives us strength to come against the enemy that's trying to keep us in option land. And so we're going to give you an opportunity to tap into that tonight. Right now. If you're watching online, you have an opportunity to tap into that right now. And so here's what I want us all to do. I want you to go ahead and take out your device. I want you to take out your connection card. And if you fill that out, awesome. You're a step or two ahead. If you didn't fill that out, I just want you to scan that in the room. If you're in the room, scan the QR code with your camera and pull the card up. I want you to do a couple things with this before we close. You scan, it's going to pull the connection card up. You can do the logistics in the online. You know, if you're online, there's a form right there next to the feed, or you might be getting it in the chat right now. And so go ahead and put your name, your email address, whatever, how much you want to share there. But I want you to scroll down then, and then there's a question there. And it's this question: where do you need God to show up over the next 7 weeks in your life? I just want you to put something in there, a word, a phrase. Where do you need God to show up over the next 7 weeks? Where do you want God, his power, to intervene in your life over the next 7 weeks? And we're going to pray for what you put there. And perhaps you've never had anybody mention your name before the throne of God out loud. I mean, think about how powerful that is for a moment, that you're here, that you're tuning in online. If you've never allowed someone to mention your name out loud and say, man, God, when you interface and interact with this person on your behalf, we ask your Spirit to work and move in their life. I mean, just think about it. If you're here right now, it's pretty amazing, right? If nobody's ever prayed for you. I mean, just think if God unleashed his power into your life. Think of as a result of this journey that we're going to go through, think about what God might be able to do. So our staff team, we have a prayer team here at Crosspoint. We're going to pray. Just put a word. Is it your marriage? Is it the anxiety you feel? Is it, something that you're looking for some additional strength? Maybe you feel lost. Maybe you're just like, gosh, I just feel like I'm wandering. I need to focus. God, I want to experience more of you. It could be a phrase, a word. We'll take your last name off of it. We'll just give first names and that thing, and this will stay confidential with our prayer team and our staff team. But we're going to pray for you out loud this week and ask God to do something amazing over these next 7 weeks. So would you just write a word or sentence in there? Right underneath there's a few additional next steps. And maybe you need to decide today, man, I'm going to accept the challenge of the next 49 days. If you want to get better, you're going to have to put the work in. And you can't get something different if you don't do anything different. So maybe it's a moment just to say, I'm going to accept the challenge. And if you do, when you leave today, you're going to get a guidebook. You're going to get some cards on the door, right outside the doors as you exit this room. If you're online, you can mark the box on the connection card, and we'll mail these to you. You're going to have the chance to jump into a home team. Anybody that's wearing this shirt right here at Tailgate Town, they'll help you find a group online. You can go to our groups page and find a group online or in person. Maybe right now it's just making the decision to say, hey, I'm going to be back here next week. I'm going to start the journey. And I'm telling you, all hell is going to come against you this week if you decide that and try to distract you. Next weekend's get back in the game weekend. If you're tuning in online and you're just looking for that moment to say, I need to be back. I need to be back in the seats. Maybe you've been watching online, but there's not a reason to not be here. Man, this is your moment. This is your moment. If you're tuning in online from another community, city, state, even nation or around the world, man, we're glad you're here, and this is why we have this feed for you. All right, I want to pray for us. In fact, actually, I want us to stand. We're going to sing a prayer. God heard your prayer, the thing you wrote down. And this song we're going to sing, songs are prayers, words we put on our lips so we know what to say to God. So we're going to sing this prayer. Let's sing this prayer together.
Gonna put your hands together. Our lives, our hearts, our hands, we're reaching out to see you move again. We can hardly wait. Come flood this place. We're ready now. It's all about to change. Let your kingdom come. Let your will be done. Let your fire fall. shake. What was dead now comes away. Every captive breaking free. Right now, right now, right now. Sing that with us. Darkness trembles, mountains shake. What was dead now comes awake. Every captive breaking free. Right now, right now, right now. Open the heavens. Pour your spirit out on us. Unleash your presence. Jesus, come alive in us. Open the
All right, let's go cross point. Huddle up. This is Drew Brees, okay? Hey, this is your day. This is your moment. Every season is about defining moments, okay? So let's make these next 7 weeks your defining moment. The 49-day challenge, it's your time. It's your moment. If you want to be better, if you want to be stronger, you got to get after it. You have to train to win. You have to train with a purpose each and every day, one day at a time. Win the day, okay? That's what the season's about, and the most important thing of all is that you play together. You do it together and you play for one another. All right, let's get it done, baby. Win on 3. 1, 2, 3, win.